what we're trying to do with Running Village across the board is educate people so they make good choices when they buy stuff or when they're training and all that. So under this is going to go under the skinny, where we help try to educate people and, you know, make them a little more dangerous so they can kind of be intelligent about training, get faster, or run longer or whatever. So that's where we're headed. You're talking about, you know, a top 15 team in the country, and you're the head coach. You've been there how many years?
This is year 6.
Okay. And you're really starting to gain some momentum. You have guys that you've been recruiting. You've been able to kind of foster an environment of, you know, starting success here, starting to be back on the rise from the glory days of the mid-'90s. As you go through that, you know, if we talk about that with people being smart, and you're talking already, you mentioned dropping down in the rankings because you didn't race. What's the benefits? What, you know, comment on that. Why don't you race?
Well, we train on a 2-week training cycle, so it's not like the high school level where you can run 5Ks twice a week and expect to have great results. So we focus on a 14-day training cycle that allows us to hit all different energy systems over a 14-day period, so that when it's time to race an 8K, or commonly known as 5 miles, then we are best adjusted for that distance. We've had a chance to do some strength work, some tempo work, a little bit of speed work, a little bit of team racing strategy work where we'll run in groups, hence the name Red Pack comes from. And that's easy to do when you're training with 20 or 30 guys and you're not racing 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, because we have people that stop in the store, or that, you know, I do some coaching on the side where, you know, they want to race. They want to do like 6 marathons a year. And they're always beat up, and so you can't even train well to help them get faster, because if you train them too hard between these big races, they're just going to be injured and have to take time off. So yeah, when you do 14 days, are you doing 1 long run or 2? Are you doing a long run every week?
We do a long run, and then 6 days out, we'll do 80% of a long run.
So you have every 2 weeks, you have 1 long run and then a medium long run.
Well, we have 3 medium long runs. Wednesdays are medium long. So if you're an 80-mile-a-week guy and you're running a 16-mile long run on Sunday or the weekend, then you've got a Wednesday run of about 11 or 12 steady miles. We try to get that all in one session. And then the weekend before, you have maybe a 12 and then a 9 or 10 midweek run. So you come down about 5 miles the week you're really focusing on.
Okay.
But if you're wanting to run 6 marathons a year, you've got to make the decision which ones are most important and use some of those as learning opportunities instead of racing opportunities.
Right.
And I think that's the same way on the high school level. And we will run 3 weekends in a row, but it won't be our varsity guys. It'll be young guys who are still trying to get used to that 8K. So the performance expectations aren't at 100%. It's more of how do you approach that type of race versus I need to have your best performance that day. First half of the season, which is our summer months, would be the first 12 weeks. The second half of our season would be the second 12 weeks. And so when I'm recruiting kids, we usually give them a break off there at the beginning of June, coming off their high school season, and start educating them throughout the summer that they need to come into the season as fit as possible, so that throughout the season they can become fast. We don't want to be working on fitness and speed at the same time. And so if we can get their volume up to a manageable point come mid-August when they get to campus, that's the best scenario. That doesn't always work at Wabash in the past, but it's worked these last 3 or 4 years, and I think that's what has helped our program on the steady rise. You know, we didn't jump from unranked to top 5 or top 10 in the country overnight. It took years to educate those guys that, you know, those first 12 weeks of the season, when I say that I mean the summer, it takes some, you know, you have to understand that you've got to lay the groundwork, and then we only have, if you're a top 7 varsity guy, you only have 12 weeks to get fast.
Yeah.
And so,
so are they doing workouts in those 12 weeks of summer?
They do very light workouts. So if I've got a guy who can run 25 minutes during the championship season, he might run tempos of like 5:10 to 5:15 during the season. But in the summer, he'll be running tempos at 5:50. Just something faster than an easy day to break up the monotony of running so many miles during the week. And then we encourage them to hit hills, either hill repeats and or a hilly run once to twice a week to kind of lay some of that strength, some of that foundation you need to be a healthy runner. One thing I went to a coach's clinic this summer because I always want to learn is, speed can be developed week to week and almost day to day, and strength the same. Strength you can develop in a short amount of time, but endurance, a true endurance base, is year to year. You build on it year to year, and and that's why, like with middle distance guys, if you're fit, you can develop speed in a 2 to 3 week period if you're doing the right things. But cross country, from the 8K on up to the 10K to the marathon, it's a year to year progression, and I think that's something high school coaches overlook. I think a lot of small schools at the collegiate level overlook that too, and that's part of the education process. I have guys that come in their freshman year and say, well, I want to be an All-American next year, or I want to be a 2-time All-American by the time I graduate, but they don't run over the winter, or they don't run over the summer.
Yeah.
And I'd say the odds of that happening are pretty slim.
Yeah. So they're building that up with long runs and with just doing endurance runs year-round.
Yeah.
I think next time one of the first things we'll talk about is base work and how you build up that endurance that you're talking about so that you can then start to add some threshold and some intervals and different things like that to help people become a faster but a more well-rounded runner.
Fit before fast.